So Jennifer Pan's presentation on the Chinese government's use of the 50-cent army to kind of control and influence the kind of social media space of their country is something I found very interesting, and I think is very pertinent in today's time, considering things like fake news and like Russian Twitter bot use to kind of influence the U.S. election. I think this is something that we're just seeing the beginnings of. I think we're going to hear a lot more about fake bots, kind of propaganda, fake news, all that. I think there's going to just be more and more of those things going forward. Looking at how it was able to impact just our own election, it I think is something that states will see that as a success story for a country like Russia being able to exert their influence on such a wide scale and for very few resources used. Is it justified for governments to do this? No, I don't think so. I think there's kind of an ethical line that states should take and not cross that line, which obviously there's places like Russia and I think like China that kind of depend on very, very controlled steps and very measured practices. They go into kind of suppressing any sort of social movements within their country that could threaten their power structure. So I can understand why they would want to take advantage of something like that, although I don't necessarily agree that that's an ethical use. Is it okay for a company to fake social media post reviews? I would also disagree with this. I don't think it should be illegal for companies to do that necessarily, but I think it's something that we should be able to expose when necessary, and people should kind of make their own judgments on whether they view that as an acceptable option. How good do I think people are at spotting fake posts, and are we getting better? I think the early stages of bots and the kind of very simple algorithms that bots use, those early posts I think were kind of fairly easy to spot, but I think with algorithms getting more complex, it's going to be much harder to discern between actual users and bots going forward. So looking at the bots that were used before and being able to see that even the simple ones are able to kind of influence people's ideas and perceptions, I think bot use in the future is going to be much more complex and probably even much more effective. So this is definitely something to keep in mind going forward.